As a project manager over the years, I have been fortunate to work with some of the most successful CEOs, and here are 5 time management strategies that I've learned from them. But before we begin, if you have enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe. It will help the channel tremendously. 1. Plan to work at your most productive time. One of the things CEOs understand is that working more won't necessarily translate to efficiency, and the traditional work hours of 9 to 5 won't necessarily lead to productivity. What I've learned is that for you to maximize your productivity, you need to understand your mind's rhythm, meaning to pay attention to your daily habits. There are hours in a day where you can be super efficient and able to be laser focused, and there will be hours in a day where your brain goes onto autopilot mode. One of the CEOs that I work with has a very specific time of the day where he prefers his most important meeting or presentation to be scheduled, because he understands his daily habits and he knows that there are sweet spots in the day where he can perform at his peak. So to boost productivity and increase your performance, structure your most intellectually demanding tasks for when you are feeling the most awake and energetic, while leaving the smaller mundane task to when your brain is on autopilot mode. Essentially, find periods of the day when you are most productive and plan your task around it. 2. The Eisenhower Matrix. While having a to-do list is the first step towards getting things done, how would you determine what to tackle first when you do not have enough time to do everything in one day? In a 1954 speech, Dwight Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, quoted, "I have 2 kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent." Using the Eisenhower decision principle, tasks are evaluated using the criteria important or less important and urgent or less urgent, and then placed in accordingly to quadrants in an Eisenhower matrix. The Eisenhower matrix is a way to organize all your tasks in accordance to urgency and importance, so you can effectively prioritize your most important work, whether to do it immediately, schedule for a later time, delegate to someone else, or remove it. One of the CEOs that I work with love history, and her approach sometimes can be a little bit old school, but I have seen her adopt this principle, which clearly made her extremely successful, where she had to juggle between her business and her family. With effective prioritization, I have learned that you can increase productivity and ensure that your most urgent task gets immediate attention. 3. Time blocking. I remember being invited to a launch of a new residential tower by my client, who is also the developer. I think the construction cost of the building was around $100 million. There were press conferences and there were VIPs, and I remember the CEO had 2 personal assistants who followed him through the crowd of people. And the CEO would check in with his PA regularly and was very mindful of his schedule. It was 30 minutes for this, and once this is done, he would move to the next for an hour and his personal assistant would pull him to the following event. It was a very well coordinated schedule where he was getting everything done and keeping everyone happy. This is exactly what time blocking is all about. Delegating time slots where you can focus and putting all your attention and energy onto one thing, get that done, and move on to the next. I have done a video on this, link above, check it out. 4. Big picture first. Author and speaker Laura Vanderkam said in her TED Talk, "Even if we are busy, we have time for what matters. And when we focus on what matters, we can build the lives we want in the time we've got." This reminded me of a time when I met a CEO who has an interesting character. He finds that he performs better when things are chaotic and that when he is under pressure. His logic was that processes are in place for most people in most situations, but sometimes we do not have the luxury of time to follow processes. Therefore, he prefers to focus on the big picture, meaning focus on what we are all here to achieve and do whatever shortcut it takes to get there as quickly as possible. The upside of focusing on the big picture is that it provides clarity and purpose. It also provides a complete perspective of the situation, where you can make purposeful decisions to drive long-term results to ultimately achieve your goals. And finally, 5. Audit your time. Most of the CEOs that I've worked with engages a business strategy analyst to see how their business can perform better, how to increase revenue, and how to reduce their overhead costs. I think it is good practice to check in and reflect on how productive we have been. With my schedule, I would audit my time weekly, if not fortnightly, to see how I can improve and perform better. I would ask myself the question, were there meetings that perhaps I didn't have to attend personally? Also, questions like, were there time spent on tasks where I could do with more time or less time to achieve the outcome that I wanted? Sometimes this could involve a colleague or a friend to provide constructive feedback and suggestions. That's all for today. I hope you've learned something new. Until then, signing off for now.